Now, I know a lot of people might think this is weird, but if I do this on silver just to get the ult,
This is double speed.
62,000. 61,000. Alrighty, so Silver Dog just dropped in Honkai Star Rail for version 1.1, and she is a phenomenal 5-star Quantum Nihility character that is and could be essential to your team and could boost your damage basically like tenfold. All right. Was that an exaggeration? All right, so she is basically a unit that you can mix and match in many different team comps. She is much like a Ting Yun that you could use to boost your character's damage for your DPS. However, instead of boosting your DPS, you are shredding the resistance and the defense down of the enemy to allow your damage dealer to dish out more damage. So I am able to theoretically double my damage on my Su Sheng, for example, going from like 20,000 damage over to like 41,000 plus damage, all thanks to Silver. You can mix and match and run different team comps, run it with your Zila, which would be a perfect matchup, Dawn, Hung, Jingyuan. The options are endless because of her kit and the amount of value she brings to the team. So let's quickly dive into the light cones. If you are playing in patch 1.1, you are able to pick up a phenomenal 4-star light cone that is perfect for Silver Dog. It increases her effect hit rate by 40% at max superimpose, which you will be able to get free superimpose. And whenever the wearer attacks defense reduced enemies, which they will be defense down pretty much indefinitely thanks to her abilities, you're regenerating 8 energy back. I would highly recommend running that on Silver. Now, if you are unfortunately playing after 1.1 and you're not able to get this light cone anymore, then there are some other options you can go with. Option number 1 would be Eyes of the Prey, because at S5 you are also benefiting from the same exact effect hit rate, 40%. You don't benefit from the damage over time, but don't worry about that. You're mainly focused on the effect hit. You have Good Night Sleep Well for a more of a damage case. So at superimpose 1, for every debuff the enemy target has, which they will have like around 5, damage dealt by the wearer increases by 12%, stacking up to 3 times. That's 30% extra damage, 72% at S5. Now, if you are running this light cone, you are going to have to run an effect hit chest piece on Silver, so you're able to kind of counter it out, because you're losing that 40% effect hit here and losing that 40% effect hit there. So you'd be getting, I believe, 41% on a gold 5-star chest piece. So keep that in mind. Now, for the people who have been whaling and have been getting multiple Eidolons for Silver, there are some 5-star options here. Option number 1 is obviously going to be her light cone. Now, you are getting less effect hit. However, you will need less effect hit rate because Silver Mutt's EU2 lowers the enemy's res by 20%, if I'm not mistaken. So you do need less effect hit on her because of that. So S1 is still perfectly fine. We have whenever the wearer deals damage to an enemy that currently has 3 or more debuffs, which they will always have 3 debuffs, increase the wearer's crit. And then after the wearer uses their basic attack skill or ultimate, 100% base chance to implant Ether Code, another debuff, on a random hit target that does not yet have it. Basically meaning that Ether Code will allow the enemy to take or receive 12% more damage. So I would recommend this if you have like an E2 Silver. You could also alternatively run In the Name of the World. Waltz Light Cone, increase the wearer's damage to debuffed enemies by 24%. And whenever the wearer uses their skill, the effect hit for that attack increases by 18%. It's good for her because her skill does have a base chance, so you are able to affect that with your effect hit. And then the attack also increases as well. Although you more often than not are just using your skill once every like 3 turns. You put your skill and then you auto attack consistently. But I would say that this is also good. Again, if you're running this, I do think that you might need to be running E2 Silver Dog. All right, so let's quickly talk about traces for Silver Pup here, and talk about the priorities on what I'm focusing on leveling up. All of her traces are theoretically good. So right now I'm working on skill and ultimate first. So what her skill essentially does is, if you're having a team with physical Silver, who's Quantum, another physical Natasha, and then say Ice, you are taking the combat type of one of your allies and applying it to the enemy. The skill, TLDR, take a combat type from your ally, put it to the enemy, reduce that combat type by 20%. Now, additionally, as you're doing that, you are also adding an all type res down on the enemy by a further certain percentage, depending on how leveled your skill is, with quantum damage thrown into the mix. Now, do keep in mind your ally that you are taking that combat type from does need to be alive. So if there's an enemy I'm fighting who is not weak to fire, and I have a fire unit on my team that ended up dying, say for example like Hook or Himeko, I can't take that fire application from the ally and put it to the target enemy. Your ally does need to be alive for that to take place. But I would recommend leveling up the skill first, and then the ultimate, because the ultimate is also increasing your base chance to apply. So of course, leveling up your ult and leveling up your skill means that you'll lead less effect hit on silver because that base chance is increasing. We're going from 92 to 94, from 6 to 7, on top of also applying even more defense down for 3 turns and quantum damage. Third, I would recommend would be the talent. So silver, whether you are auto attacking using your skill or using your ultimate, you are able to apply 3 random types of bugs, either reducing the target's attack by a certain percentage, their defense, or speed. Now, whatever bug you end up getting, it will always give the other bugs first. So if I ended up getting like the speed down first, then I'm getting either defense or attack. And then once I get all 3, then it'll start randomly refreshing those bugs durations. It does last 3 turns, and you are able to increase this as well with a bonus stat or a bonus ability. We'll get into that a little bit later, but do keep in mind it will always guarantee that you get these 3 bugs planted, and then it'll start randomly refreshing as you attack. And then last but not least, focus on leveling up the basic attack, because even though Silver is a Nihility character, she is a phenomenal sub DPS character at that. All right, so quickly moving over to the bonus abilities now. Like I said, you are able to generate 1 extra turn for your bugs that you're applying. So generate is giving your bugs duration extension for 1 extra turn. Also, whenever an enemy is inflicted with the weakness break, not just by the hands of Silver, it could also be by any of your teammates, she has a 65% base chance of implanting a random bug. The other bonus ability, Inject, will be the duration of the weakness implanted by Silver's skill, increased by 1 turn. Now, this only means the type that you end up taking. So that enemy that's weak to, say, like Quantum, Wind, and Imaginary, but not weak to Physical, they will have that physical weakness applied for an additional turn. It does not apply to the all type res down for the enemy, which is 2 turns. It's only for the damage res of the weakness type that's taken from the ally. So it's going to be a 3 turn for that, and then a 2 turn for the all type down. And then the last bonus ability, if there are 3 or more debuffs affecting the enemy when the skill is used, then the skill decreases the all type res by an additional 3%. Also really good. You're going to want to grab all these bonus abilities anyways regardless, because there are some good stat bonuses that you're going to want to take. Effect hit rate here on the left side for 4%, effect hit on the right for 6%, and 8% on the top. A total of 18% effect hit, which will essentially allow you to dish out more damage with Silver, because you're going to be building a crit and crit damage chest piece, which we'll be getting into momentarily. All right, moving on over to Relics here. Please just ignore the set effects that I have. I'm running a Frankenstein build. I apologize. I'm still working on my Silver. It's rough right here, but I'm going to recommend what I think you should be running on her. First of all, it's going to be a 4-piece Quantum set for the damage, or a 4-piece Musketeer for the speed. And if you're not able to run either one of those 4 sets, you could always mix and match and run just a 2-piece Quantum, 2-piece Musketeer for the quantum damage and the attack percent. If we're moving over to the main stats here, HP always for the head, attack for the gloves. I am currently running effect hit, but I think you should be running crit or crit damage. So if you're able to, I would 100% recommend running a crit or crit damage chest piece, running speed boots, running a quantum damage sphere, and then running energy regeneration for the rope. In terms of the 2-piece set here that I would recommend, I'm going to be going with Pan Galactic for the effect hit, and I'm going to start crunching some numbers and explaining why I'm running certain sets, because depending on where your effect hit is at will determine what set you should be running, what main stat you should be running here, and what you should be sacrificing to get something back instead. All right, so let me quickly explain why I'm running a crit or a crit damage chest piece on Silver and not an effect hit chest piece. So if we're taking a look at the event light cone that you end up getting, you're getting 40% at Superimpose 5, which is guaranteed. So that's 40%. Yes. You're also getting an additional 10% from the Pan-Galactic, which lets you go up to 50% effect hit. And with her 3 bonus abilities, that's an additional 18%. You're getting 68% effect hit just off the bat right then and there. Now, if we're taking artifacts into account, everyone at endgame will be getting 5-star relics. Yes. Now, what you want to look for the substats, because I didn't even get into that yet, is going to be effect hit. You always want to make sure you have at least 1 effect hit as your substat for silver. The minimum you can get for effect hit is a 3.4. That's the lowest possible starting baseline you can get for that. So if you have 3.4 as a baseline for all your 5-star relics across 6 relics, you are ending up with 20.4 effect hit without them even being touched at all. That puts your effect hit up to 88.4%. And that's just bare minimum. Now I'm going to put up a chart on the screen, and you can also use this at your disposal. I'm going to leave a link down below in the description to this. Bosses who are level 80 allegedly have 40% effect resist. And the minimum that you want for silver is going to be 106 at trace level 7. So 95% effect hit is pretty much where I'm at right now. And after all the testing with 95% effect hit and the end game content like Memory of Chaos going up against level 80 bosses that supposedly have the highest effect res, I am able to consistently apply my E ability, which is my skill for the debuff, or my ultimate with consistent bugs, at least 11 out of 12 of my bugs. But because these bugs last 4 turns anyways, I don't think it's a big deal if you're not 100% consistently hitting these bugs. And now do keep in mind, my talents aren't even leveled up at the moment. They're at level 6, they're at level 4. The more you level these up, the less effect hit rate you will end up needing for your silver dog. In terms of substats, you're going to want to run effect hit, speed, stat, crit, and crit damage in my opinion, or attack percent if you can't find a perfect crit damage. But definitely prioritizing effect hit and speed as those 2 main priority substats that you want to go with for silver. All right, let's quickly discuss Eidolons for silver dog here. So E1, after using her ultimate to attack enemies, silver pup regenerates 7 energy for every debuff that the target enemy has. This effect can be triggered up to 5 times in each use of her ultimate. So ultimates in the game automatically regenerate you 8 energy back. Yes. So with this right here at max value, 35 plus the 8 is getting you 43 energy back just immediately. 43 energy back immediately. With this, essentially, you could argue and say you might not need to run an energy recharge rope on silver if you have an E1, and you could run like an attack percent rope instead. E2, when an enemy enters battle, you're reducing their effect res by 20%, which essentially also means because of this, you can run less effect hit rate on your pieces and focus more on damage instead, like her signature light cone or Waltz light cone, like I ended up throwing in there. E3 is just the skill and the talent leveled up +2. E4 is the balance attack, which is after using her ultimate to attack enemies, you're dealing additional quantum damage to 20% of silver's attack for every debuff currently on the target, which will be like 3 guaranteed. Odds are you do get the 5, which is the max value, so 100% there. 5 is alt and basic attack, and 6 is pretty much DPS silver. For every debuff the enemy target has, the enemy damage dealt by silver increases by 20% up to a maximum of 100%. I think E2 and E1 is pretty much where most people stop at, in my opinion. I still think silver is good on her own. Just want to throw this in there for a quick disclaimer. I think she's still phenomenal. You don't have to roll for Eidolons for silver. I think she's perfect at E0 on her own. Okay, so let's quickly hop into team comps for Silver Pup here. So she is a Nihility character. She is applying defense down on the enemy target, as well as a lot of other bugs like reducing their speed and their attack. You could essentially run her in many and most team comps. So if you want to run her in like a mono ice team comp with Yen Qing, Pella, Japard, Silver, you can. I can see a Jing Yuan, Ting Yun, Silver, Bailu for an Electro team comp or Lightning team comp. That's possible. If you have Su Sheng, Natasha, Clara, and Silver for the 3 physical, 1 silver. Essentially, she will get better in time because you'll have more units to work with. As you can see, I don't have a Clara currently on my team. So if I want to run a 3 physical and then silver, I would need to run physical main character. Now, you could also run her in a full quantum team, which I think she would excel the best in. Zila, Silver, Fu Shuen, a Quantum Preservation character. She'll be coming out in the future. You could run that team comp and that'd be perfectly fine. But the use case, the best thing about Silver is this, the flexibility. Just for an example here, I'm on Memory of Chaos Phase 3. I am currently going up against an enemy who is weak to physical, ice, and quantum. I have 2 ice, 1 quantum, but no wind on my team. That's where Silver comes in handy. You are essentially able to use your main DPS characters to apply that weakness onto the enemy without worrying about, well, I need to level up a physical damage unit. So if I'm applying this right here with my E, it'll 100% guarantee that Don Hung, a wind element, will be applied because he already has quantum weakness and ice weakness. So there goes the wind, and it's applied to the enemy. And now I can let my Don Hung get in there and start dishing out and doing a lot of work. All right, so let's wrap the video up there. I think Silver Pup is a very good character that you can roll for your account, and her value, whether you're looking at the glass half empty or the glass half full, you could argue and say she brings more value to the team early, or she brings more value later on, and vice versa. But I am lacking some characters to experiment a bit more with other team comps, like a full electric team comp. I'm missing Bailu. I don't have Yanqing, so I'm missing Yanqing for a full ice team comp with her. Now, always keep in mind, she is more than just her skill ability and applying that weakness down. She's also doing the all-type damage bonus, as well as a huge ultimate defense down for 3 turns that can stay up indefinitely against the enemy, on top of all the other bugs and crippling the elite or the boss fight that you're fighting. Overall, I think Silver Dog is a very phenomenal 5-star character if you wanted to roll for her on your account. She's a very simple and easy character to build, in my opinion. But let me know your thoughts. Let me know how you guys what you guys think about her. Join us over on Twitch if you have any more questions. I'm live every day. Feel free to ask us anything, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Server's still not